We're going to be learning about MarketLink's grant program and how you can use that to accept EBT on your farm or in your farm store. With us today is Whitney Butler, regional representative for MarketLink. She'll be covering the basics, how being able to accept this payment method can benefit both your farm and your community, and how MarketLink can be a partner in helping you use the program. This session today will be recorded with a link sent to all who registered. I'd also like to make note that the organization part of this webinar was made possible through a specialty crop block grant that South Dakota Specialty Producers received through the South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources. So we're very excited to be able to bring this to you, and hopefully it's something that you'll be able to consider implementing on your farm. Thanks, Whitney. I'll let you take over.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Laura, and thank you for hosting me today. I'll go ahead and pull up my presentation, and while I do that, we're a small group here, so I'm just curious who's in the room. If you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat, just introducing who you are and what kind of business you have, or if you feel comfortable unmuting yourself and introducing yourself, feel free to do so. Okay. All right, we see in my presentation then? Okay, good. All right, get my notes up. Awesome. All right, so hello everyone in the room and perhaps later tuning in. My name is Whitney and I work for the MarketLink Grant Program, which in a nutshell, we help farmers and farmers markets accept SNAP cards or EBT cards. I live in Colorado actually, but I'm a regional representative for the Mountain Plains states. So I'm trying to get the word out about this grant opportunity to all my neighbor states. And I'm really grateful for you tuning in. I know this is an extra busy time of the year on the farm, so I really appreciate you joining today. So with that, let's jump on in. There we go. Okay, so what is MarketLink? So MarketLink is it's a national grant program that was created by a nonprofit called the NAF-MNP, National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. And it was first created in 2013 in response to a USDA grant opportunity. It's called the SNAP Equipment Grant for Farmers and Farmers Markets. And since 2013, we've helped over 3,000 farmers and farmers markets accept over $69 million in SNAP sales. And then just making sure we're all on the same page, SNAP is sometimes referred to as EBT, and it's formally known as the food stamp program. So the MarketLink team does manage a few different grants, but today I'll be telling you about this SNAP equipment grant. And for that, what we provide is free technical assistance with the SNAP retailer application, which the USDA requires for any business that would like to accept SNAP cards. And then the grant pays for 1 year of free SNAP processing equipment for farmers and farmers markets. Now this grant is currently funded through September of this year. It's funded by the Farm Bill. So this is a great time to take advantage of this opportunity. So this SNAP equipment grant is made possible with a few key partnerships. So as I mentioned, it was created by the NAF-MNP, and then we have a cooperative agreement with the USDA. More specifically, it's the Food and Nutrition Services agency that's the part of the USDA that administers SNAP. So FNS, as they're known, is who's providing the funding for this grant. And then we are partnered with Novodia Group, which is the company that actually provides that SNAP equipment, which is an app called Total Pay Go. It's the only app that you can accept SNAP through. Okay. So here's some basic facts on the SNAP program or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Who's eligible to receive SNAP benefits? People qualify based on income and household factors, but the majority are low-income working families with children and families with elderly or disabled household members. So in 2021, there was about 41.5 million Americans that received SNAP benefits. And in South Dakota, it was about 71,000 residents, which is about 8% of your population. Now, what foods can be purchased with SNAP? It's very broad. So it's fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, dairy, eggs, baked goods, processed foods, meaning things like pickled vegetables, jams, jellies, cider, non-alcoholic beverages, also honey, herbs, and plants and seeds that will produce food. So what's not allowed is easier to understand. It's non-food products, alcohol, and then hot foods or foods meant to be eaten on site. So this colorful wheel is just showing you the potential positive feedback cycle that happens when local businesses accept SNAP. So starting with the obvious in red, when you accept SNAP, you're expanding your customer base. But you're also improving food access to your community's most vulnerable population. And then by accepting SNAP, businesses are demonstrating that everyone is welcome to shop with them, and they're empowering SNAP customers to support the local economy. And this all helps build a sense of community. Of course, when SNAP customers have access to fresh, local, nutritious food, that's adding to their overall well-being. And this all provides unique marketing opportunities to help promote your business, which hopefully means increased sales and profitability, which perhaps helps you to continue expanding your customer base. And here's a few more reasons you might consider. SNAP is a $100 billion program. And of that, currently less than 0.12% is being spent with farmers and farmers markets. So one of our goals with this grant program is to help that number go up. There's a lot of potential here. Also, if you are currently accepting the WIC or the seniors coupon programs, SNAP is an excellent companion program to those. First of all, you can reach different customers. And then also you may know that the WIC and seniors programs usually only allow a very limited set of foods that can be purchased, whereas SNAP allows a lot greater variety of food. And then what this chart is showing you is just how much more funding is going into SNAP. The red line on the bottom shows the funding going into those WIC and seniors programs, and the purple line is showing the funding going into SNAP. So you can see there's a lot of potential for increased sales if you're just doing the WIC and seniors at this point. Okay, so when and where can you accept SNAP cards? Now, typically, most businesses are limited to accepting SNAP cards at their physical location during business hours. However, the USDA gives farmers a whole lot more flexibility. So if you meet their definition of a direct marketing farmer, then you can accept SNAP anywhere you sell. So direct marketing farmer, they define as an individual producer of agricultural goods that sells directly to the public. And at least 50% of your sales must be your own product. So if that is you, then that means you can accept SNAP at farmers markets. If you have a farm stand or store on or off your farm, you can also accept SNAP for CSA shares. And I'll explain how that works in the next slide. And you can also accept SNAP cards at multiple locations at the same time. You just need equipment for each location. Okay, so a lot of farmers want to know if they can accept SNAP for a CSA program. There are a few obstacles, but it's possible and many farms do it. So as far as the obstacles go, there's two SNAP regulations that come into place here. One regulation is that SNAP funds can't be used to purchase products that are delivered in the future. However, they do allow direct marketing farmers and nonprofit food buying cooperatives to accept SNAP for items that will be received within 2 weeks of purchase. So just the obstacle here is that a SNAP customer can't buy their full share up front. And then another regulation that comes into place is that SNAP cards must be charged in person. And this has to do with the PIN code that a SNAP customer has to punch in to finalize a sale. And what this means is that the SNAP sales cannot be done over the phone. So farmers being the solution finders that you are have come up with this solution, which is that they have SNAP customers pay for their share every 2 weeks at time of pickup. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks, that's just the maximum it can be. Now, some farms will have a SNAP customer provide a credit card to kind of hold their order, or some farms will ask customers to sign an agreement to this, but it might take a little extra effort, but many farms do this successfully. Okay, and then how about at farmers markets? You may have seen different setups at farmers markets. There's basically 2 different systems out there. So first, let's look at this vendor level system. And this would be if the farmers market is unable or unwilling to manage a SNAP program for the whole market. So then it's left up to the individual vendors to do this on their own. So any vendor that wants to accept SNAP will have to do that SNAP retailer application. And then once they're approved, they'll have to get their own SNAP point of sale equipment. Now that equipment will be tied directly to the vendor's bank account. And you can only accept SNAP for items you're selling at your booth. Now this is a pretty common scenario, especially with small or volunteer farmers markets. It's maybe not ideal because it's more expensive for the vendors. And also for SNAP customers, it can be confusing which booths accept SNAP. So it's just important that you budget for signage to make it clear that you're accepting SNAP at your booth. And then the other system you might encounter is the market level system. And this is where it's the farmers market itself that's operating a SNAP program for everyone there. So with this, the farmers market or whoever's running the market, they will do that SNAP retailer application. And then once they're approved, they will get one central set of SNAP point of sale equipment that's used for the entire market. Now that equipment will be tied to a bank account used for the market. So all the SNAP sales will go into that account, and then the vendors will have to be reimbursed later. Now to manage this, markets will be using some kind of token or script system. I'll explain that in the next slide. But as you can imagine, this takes a few more resources on the market's part. They're going to need staff or volunteers to operate that SNAP equipment, manage the token system, and make sure that vendors are reimbursed. They'll also need to budget to pay for that equipment, purchase those tokens, and market to the community that they accept SNAP there. But if possible, this is usually a better situation because it takes the costs off the shoulders of the vendors, and it's easier for SNAP customers because they know that they can use their SNAP card on any eligible items at the market. So in that last scenario, where the market has that SNAP equipment, I mentioned they'll be using some kind of tokens or script to manage sales. And script here just means some type of market currency that's representing those SNAP dollars. So how this works is that SNAP point of sale equipment is kept at some kind of informational booth at the market it's being operated by market staff or volunteers. So SNAP customers will be directed to go to that booth, ask for a certain amount to be charged to their card, and then the market staff will give them tokens or script in exchange. Then the customer can take those tokens and purchase SNAP items throughout the market, and vendors just need to know what items they can and can't accept those SNAP tokens for. Now at the end of the market, vendors will turn in the tokens spent with them to the market staff, and market staff will record how much is owed to each vendor. Now some markets will keep cash on hand to just pay out vendors immediately. More commonly though, markets will reimburse vendors later by cutting a check or transferring money from their bank account. But don't let those overwhelm you. Farmers markets that are running a SNAP program this way, they are required to train vendors on how their system works. So they'll make sure you're comfortable with this. Okay, so if you're interested in accepting SNAP, how do you go about doing that? The first big step, as I mentioned, is that SNAP retailer application. Now, before you embark on that adventure, you want to make sure that you can meet the USDA's staple foods stocking requirements. These are in place to make sure that businesses offer enough staple foods for SNAP customers. Now, the language is a little wonky, and there's a more detailed explanation on the USDA's website. And the MarketLink team can also help you understand this. But you need to meet one of these criteria. Now, criterion A is very confusing. Don't worry as much about it because farmers usually meet criterion B. So A is that you have 3 stocking units of 3 different varieties of each of the staple foods groups. And the staple foods groups are listed here. But most farmers meet criterion B, and that's that at least 50% of your sales are from the sale of staple foods. That's usually very easy for farmers to meet. So if you can meet that, then you are ready to move forward with that SNAP retailer application. And then once you get approved, you'll need equipment to take those SNAP cards. So let's look at how the MarketLink grant can help you with all this. Okay, so the very first step in our grant program is just to go to our website and fill out our application. Super short, and there's no obligation to move forward, but who is eligible is what that is determining. And that is direct marketing farmers that meet that definition we talked about, and also farmers markets that meet the definition laid out here of a farmers market. So who's not eligible? If you're not a direct marketing farmer or farmers market, or if you've already received equipment from the MarketLink grant since October 2019, you can only use it once per grant cycle. Or if you have functioning equipment you received through a state-sponsored program. So just no double dipping in grant programs. So once you finish our application, you will get an automatic email, with information on the next step. Now, some businesses that apply with us, they've already been authorized to accept SNAP. And if you are, great, you're on to the next step. But if you need to do that application, you'll get an email with information on how to do this and how we can help. First of all, this is an online application. So if you choose to do this on your own, we have a step-by-step guide that we'll send you, and you can follow that and reach out to us if you have any questions at all. Or there's the option of having us submit the application for you. We highly recommend this because it allows us to make sure you're eligible, make sure your application is filled out correctly, and then we can track your application and make sure you get approved as quickly as possible. So this is kind of an overview of the whole process. Don't let it overwhelm you. We're here to help you through all this and make it as least painful as possible. So as I mentioned, first of all, it's an online application. So if you want us to apply for you, you'll just book a phone appointment with us, and we'll send you an email that has a list of the information you should pull together for that phone appointment. During our phone call, I'll fill out the application for you. Now, for that application, you're going to need to decide who is the responsible official. And this depends on how your business is set up, but generally all business owners must be listed as a responsible official. Number 3 here. So after you fill out that online form, there are some documents that the USDA requires. What's required depends on what kind of business you have, but in general, each business owner has to provide a copy of their photo ID and a copy of their social security card. The only exemption for that social security card requirement is for 501c3 nonprofit farmers markets or government-owned farmers markets. There's also a signature page for each owner to sign. If you're required to have a business license, you should go ahead and upload that. And if you are a 501c3, they're going to want that IRS determination letter. So number 4, once all those documents are uploaded, that's when the USDA will actually start reviewing your application. Now, during that time, they will sometimes send a letter or an email asking for more information, and they will have a deadline to respond. So it's really important that you keep a close eye on your email and your mailbox at this point, because if you miss that and then you miss the deadline, they'll withdraw your application and you have to start over. Number 5, it's also really important to check on the status of your application regularly. You can do that online, and you can do that by calling the USDA. If you have us submit the application, we'll take care of that for you. And then number 6, hallelujah, once you're approved, you'll be given a SNAP permit, which is your golden ticket to being able to get a SNAP card reader. Now the takeaway here is to start early, because this whole process can take some time. And please, reach out to us for help. We can definitely make it become a smoother process. Okay, so once you have that SNAP permit, here's just some tips on maintaining it. We recommend that you save copies of everything, that SNAP application, your SNAP permit, and any kind of correspondence you had with the USDA. That'll be very helpful to refer to later. Now, your SNAP permit is valid for about 5 years. And at that time, the USDA is going to reach out to you by email and snail mail, asking you to reauthorize. So you don't have to do the whole application over again. You just kind of have to update information. They'll have, again, a deadline to respond, or they deactivate your SNAP permit. So you just want to, keep a close eye on that. You also should try to process a SNAP sale at least once a year. If more than a year passes without a sale, the USDA may send you what they call a non-redeemer email and letter. And if you don't respond to that, they'll deactivate your SNAP permit. In this case, it's easier to get it reactivated. You can just call them. But if you miss reauthorization, you'll probably have to reapply. And on that note, it's super important that the contact information that you give the USDA is monitored on a regular basis, because they'll reach out to you before they do any of these things. Also, a great resource is the Retailer Service Center. That's where you're going to call if you have any questions at all about your SNAP permit. Just keep in mind, they'll only speak to a responsible official or owner of the business. Okay. So once you have that SNAP permit, you're going to need some kind of point of sale equipment to accept the SNAP cards. And this is just giving you an idea of different kinds of equipment setups out there. There's private companies you can purchase equipment from. You can also check with your bank or credit union. Some of them provide equipment. And then if you're eligible, of course, one of your options is the equipment provided by the MarketLink grant. So let's look at that. All right, so we call this a bring your own device program, meaning that you'll have to have your own smartphone or tablet to run that Total Pay Go app on. And this can be someone's personal or business device. It just needs to have Bluetooth, because that's how you're going to connect your phone or tablet to the SNAP card reader. So the card reader is this little black box down here in the corner. So this is just giving you an idea of your setup. And then to run the Total Pay Go app, you just need to have either a data plan or a connection to Wi-Fi. Then you may have noticed that our equipment setup does not include a printer. So it's federally mandated that a printed receipt must be provided for all SNAP sales. However, the USDA has provided what they call a printed receipt waiver for those that get equipment through the MarketLink grant. So if you do, then instead of a printed receipt, customers are offered an email or text receipt instead. And you may know many SNAP customers depend on those receipts to track their SNAP account balance. So it's important to note that you can check a customer's SNAP balance on the app without processing a sale. There's a balance inquiry button, and then you can email or text that balance to them. But if for whatever reason you want or need a printer, those are available for purchase. Okay, so if that equipment setup sounds like it would work well for you, then you're on to the last step in our grant program, which is signing up for a Total Pay Go account. Now, some of the perks of Total Pay Go, they have the ability for you to do a monthly subscription that you just turn on for the months you need it, or there's a yearly subscription. There's no long-term contracts. You can cancel at any time with no fees. There's no early termination fees, and then they don't charge per transaction fees for SNAP sales, and then no setup fees or ACH banking fees. Okay, so here's what's covered by the grant for 1 year, and then what costs to expect after that first year is up. So the grant covers the cost of that SNAP card reader entirely, and that's yours to keep. And then the grant pays for a 1 year subscription to the Total Pay Go app. And then you have that printer waiver, so no cost for printing receipts. So after the first year, if you want to keep using the Total Pay Go app, the cost is in the subscription to the app. So for the monthly, it's $19.95 a month. And then for the yearly, there's a slight discount. It's $191.40 for the year. But you'll continue to have those other perks as a MarketLink customer. That SNAP card reader and the printer waiver lasts as long as you're using the equipment. Okay, so this is just going over those per transaction rates. On the top, as I mentioned, with Total Pay Go, there's no per transaction fee for SNAP sales. And then Total Pay is partnered with both Square and WorldPay to give you the option of also accepting credit or debit cards through the app. So with that partnership, how that works is that you integrate your Square or WorldPay account into the Total Pay Go app. So that lets you use one app, Total Pay Go, for all transaction types. And then the per transaction fees are set by their companies, you see here. So we tend to recommend Square just because it's less expensive. But one important difference is that with Square, you would need to have the Square card reader for credit and debit cards. And it can connect to your phone or smart or tablet at the same time as the SNAP card reader. So you'll have one app open, Total Pay Go, but two card readers connected to it. That's one perk of WorldPay. The SNAP card reader can also accept credit and debit if you have a WorldPay account. Okay, so here's what the Total Pay Go app will look like on your smart device. The left side is your sign-in screen, and on the right is kind of your home screen where you'd select the type of sale you want to do. And what shows up on your app is it's just going to be what you're set up with. So most folks probably just have the SNAP button on there. And then in addition to the app, there's also the website, and that's where you log on to your account. You can adjust settings, and then you can view and download your sales data into an accounting software if you use one. Okay, so that wrapped it up for that SNAP equipment grant. But I also wanted to share this other grant that we're working on because it might be of interest to some farmers out there. And this is called the Online SNAP Purchasing Pilot. So you might know that it has been impossible for small retailers to accept SNAP on their online store. And that's because the USDA has very strict and therefore expensive security standards for people's online stores. The USDA recognized this problem and they created another grant opportunity for somebody to create a solution for this, which the MarketLink team won. So right now we're in the final testing phases with our e-commerce provider, GrownBuy, and we'll be onboarding farmers soon once we get the green light from the USDA. So this would let you accept SNAP through your online store. Whether you have one or not, we'll be helping you set up your online store as well. So if you're interested, let us know and we'll have you sign up for our online SNAP newsletter so you can keep up with our progress. But no matter what, your first step will be to do that SNAP retailer application. So that's a good starting point. Okay, so I know that was information overload. So if after you digest all of that and you come up with questions, feel free to, you can book a phone call with us just to, talk through all of this, or send us an email. I'd also encourage you to check out our website. There's a lot of great resources on there. And that is where you'd start the process if you want to apply for the grant. So once again, thank you all for your valuable time. I hope that was helpful. I'm happy to answer questions now if there's any.
Thank you so much, Whitney. What questions does anyone have? You can unmute yourself or put them in the chat.
Whitney, once you've filled out the grant application, how long does it take to receive the equipment?
Yeah, good question. So if you apply with us and you're already SNAP authorized, then the last step that you have to do, it's an online form where you fill out your Total Paygo account setup. That's a short form, and they usually process it within 1 to 2 days, and then they ship the equipment FedEx 2-day. So it can be a really quick turnaround to get the equipment within a week, 10 days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
The slide program will be sent out via email, so we'll have all the contact information.
Yes, I believe we will be sharing, this PDF of this presentation too, so you can look through that, and then also, my contact info.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it.
And I'll be following up with an email for everyone who registered today, so they've got a recording to this and Whitney's email address. So if you've got any questions, Whitney is great with explaining and clarifying things. This presentation covered a lot, but if you've got more as you get rolling through the process, I'm sure she'd be a great resource. So with that, thank you everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Hopefully it's sunny or rainy enough dreary of a day that it's really raining coming down. So hopefully one of the two for everyone. Have a great one. Bye.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye. Thank you.